You know, when you're working the dream, the struggle is oh so real. You have to be determined. You have to work hard. You need to be compassionate, set goals, and be timely. Stay focused and reach high. You need all this and the Lord to come together to make you a better person while you're working the dream.
Hello, and welcome to Workin' the Dream. I'm your host, Eric Kelly, and today we're going to share tips on how you can ace your next job interview. Now, let's look at how you got here. The recruiter or the hiring manager thought enough about the resume that you sent in to take a closer look at you. Great start. Now, you might have even gotten a screening call, which further piqued their interest. Good job. Now, this is the do or die moment. Your interview goals are to ensure that you make the best presentation of your talents and abilities. Now, I think our next friend should have asked for some help before his interview. You be the judge.
Has my 4 o'clock arrived yet? Already.
Oh, they told me to come in here. You must be the Mr. Martin they be telling me about, man. Oh, man, this looks like a good day for me.
Jonas Martin, and you are?
Grant, but everybody call me G-Stacks. You call me whatever you want, man, because you the man with the job that's going to make me happy. I feel good today. Yeah, my brother.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Man, okay, I tell you what, I'm the slam dunk champion, the chess champion, the checker champion. I move product in the neighborhood. I got the highest score on Call of Duty. What else you want to know, my brother?
All right, let's skip that. Why did you apply for the position that we have here today?
Why? Look, I need some money. The G notes, the C notes. I need the paycheck. That's why I'm here, brother. I got pockets, but ain't none in them.
Couple of things. I'm looking at your resume, and by the way, could you remove those sunglasses, please?
Oh man, my bad, man. It was sunny outside today. Woo! Man, the doctor told me I gotta protect these eyes, you know what I'm saying? So I had to wear these things, but I think they'll stay on my head. Don't worry about it, I got it together.
By the way, on your way over to the interview, you didn't run into any traffic jams or anything,
I
did you?
gotta apologize about that. See, I set my clock for 3. Well, what happened when I woke up, I found out the batteries had died, man, and the cat chased the dog, took the other alarm clock down the hall. I was tied to his collar, you know, and the neighbor was supposed to be my backup alarm, but they fell asleep too.
All right. We just have to get through this interview. Now, the position that we're talking about is that of junior analyst. And actually, your work experience is not too bad. It's pretty good. You got 4 colleges, 6 different majors. Just a hint, Mr. Grant. When you're applying for a job, you don't need to list every college you went to and everything you studied, just the last college you attended and the last course of study that you graduated from.
See, the bottom line was, I didn't know which position was going to get me the most money, bang for the buck. So I decided, study the whole thing, be well-rounded. That's why I came. I got it all, the degrees.
Now, I see also that you studied theology. Now, pastors, as a rule, don't make a lot of money. What was your thinking?
First of all, I don't look like a pastor today, but man, you watch TV, man. Them pastors be making some big dollar bills, y'all. Selling snake oil, prayer claws, splinters from the tree of life and all that stuff. So if I can't make it in the real world, I'm gonna make some money as a pastor. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
But don't you worry about it.
What makes you think you're a good fit for this particular position?
Man, I got the experience, I got the education, plus I bring some swagger. Nobody in this company so far that I've seen got swagger, and this company needs some swagger. That's what G-Stack bring to the table.
You do have swagger. Sadly, there's no particular position that requires swagger. So it's going to be a little tough for us to kind of place you because your skill set is a little different.
Yo, man, how long is it going to take, man? 8 and a half minutes you've been talking, trying to fit me in, but I parked in a 10-minute parking slot, man. In a minute and a half, I'm gonna get told. How long is it gonna take, man?
Well, actually, our interview is really quite finished. We're pretty much done here, and I want to thank you for coming in.
Yeah, okay, now wait, I got 30 seconds more. While I'm leaving, though, don't forget this, man. See, I got it. G-Stack got what you need, what this company need, and the best decision you can make, sorry about the glasses, is to fit me into this office, you know what I'm saying? You gonna need what I got, and you got what I need. I'm out, my brother. Don't forget me, don't forget me. Call me.
Okay, let's be real about this. Grant G-Stacks has about an icicle's chance in a forest fire of getting hired for this position. Grant violated all of the rules of job interview etiquette. Mr. Martin has already written him off for this job. With his dress, his lingo, his demeanor, Grant, as cool as he thinks he is, just wasted an hour out of his day. And Mr. Martin's too. Now, let's examine Cole's approach to preparing for the interview and see if he can do better than our friend Grant. Should be easy.
We really need to do a better job with our HR process. G-Stacks? Wow. Yes?
Cole Elliott is early, but he's
Oh,
ready for you.
thank you. Send him in. Cole, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Please have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in, and thank you for coming in so early.
Thank you, sir.
We will try not to take up too much of your
Don't
time.
worry, sir. It's your time. Don't worry.
Alrighty. Looked at your resume, and it's very solid, very
Okay.
strong. I need to tell you, I'm not a fan of traditional interview techniques, all right? So we're going to change things up just a little bit.
Okay.
Great. You like basketball?
Love it, sir.
Great. Let's suppose I'm the coach of the basketball team, and we're hiring you to be our point guard.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
What I need to know is, are you a shoot-first kind of point guard, or are you a distributor, making sure that everybody gets their shots, everybody gets what they need, so the team can be successful?
Well, honestly, sir, it depends on what the team needs. I mean, I believe in preparation, so first I'll try to understand the needs of the team, or in this case, the company, and I'll learn the opponent's weaknesses and strengths, and I'll use that on a play-by-play basis. And if I need to score, I can do that. If I need to make my teammates shine, I can do that also. And no matter the situation, it's all about the team and what the team needs to succeed.
All right, great. Give me some idea of what you think are your character strengths, and then give me an example of how you would use them.
Well, I feel that I have a great attention to detail, and I strive for accuracy and for best presentation. And my last boss assigned me on a project to improve our accuracy, and found multiple holes that I try to fix with so, and made some recommendations. And since those changes were implemented, 98% of the reports that were sent to management never came back for accuracy errors.
Excellent. Tell me now, who's your favorite basketball player?
Kobe Bryant, sir.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Why is he your favorite?
Because he gives it all, you know, sir, and he gives it all to win. Yeah.
Do you see yourself as sort of a corporate Kobe Bryant?
No, sir.
Why not?
Well, I don't mind sharing the ball, sir. And it's like my dad always says, you know, you can have all the success you want if you give all the success to other people. Yeah.
Kind of a Zig Ziglar philosophy. Your dad is a very wise man. You should listen to him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, we don't have much more, and you've done a fine job. Glad you came in. We will be in touch.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Take care.
You too, sir.
Kobe Bryant. Whatever happened to Michael Jordan? Those young people.
Now, Cole values getting help from a mentor And he got some pretty good advice too. If he follows it, he should do well in his interview. Okay, let's think about what we just saw. We've already established that the interviewer must like you in order for you to get the job. Cole definitely impressed Mr. Martin, and by all indications has a shot at landing a pretty cool job. So let's look at what needs to be done prior to the initial shaking of hands with an interviewer.
Research the company on the internet. Prepare questions to ask. Dress one level above the position you're applying for. Arrive 20 minutes early. Pray silently for Godfidence.
Before you go to your interview, you need to do a little research. Interviewers love applicants that walk into the room and have an idea about what company they're interviewing with. So go to the internet and find out as much as you can about the company. Find out about their products, their goods, their services. In fact, read any little news clips about that company. Know what they make, how they make their money, and if they're publicly traded, it doesn't hurt to know a little bit about their stock price and their stock history. The second thing you want to research is the position. What position are you applying for? If online in any way you can find out what this position does and what some of its responsibilities are. In fact, if you don't have the specific information for that company, if you can find general information about that position, when you're talking to the recruiter, it helps them understand that you know what you're asking for. Then you might want to do a little looking at the pay. How is the pay structured? How much do they pay for that position? And you can go online and find so many different websites to kind of give you a general idea of how much is paid for each position. Now, the recruiter, the interviewer, they are going to have discussions about pay. And you should have an idea about how much you're going to be asking for, because they're going to ask you, what are you looking for? Now, here's the interesting thing about pay. The first one that talks about money loses, and let me explain. The interviewer does not want to tell you how much the job pays, because if they ask you how much you're willing to work for and it's less, that's probably where you're going to start. You are trying not to say how much you'll settle for because you want to know how much they'll pay. So there's a little bit of a dance around pay. The first person that blinks loses. But if they ask you how much you are definitely willing to work for, it's good to have done the research, gone to the internet, and find out what's the average pay for that position. And don't pick the high end of the scale. Pick the middle of the scale. If it's between 80,000 and 95,000, find a number in the middle somewhere, 85, 87, but make sure that you have an idea of what would work for you. And don't be greedy. Understand the culture that you're going into. Also, look at that culture and see if that's a place that you would feel comfortable working. Ultimately, in this process, you must pray for discernment and God's leading. Every job that looks good on a recruiting board or on the paper may not be what God wants for you. God knows whether or not that company is going to be around. He knows if there's going to be a merger and the job that you're applying for is going to go away in 8-9 months, a year or two once you get settled in. God knows everything about what's going to happen to that company. So pray for his leading and guidance. He may tell you, apply somewhere else. Listen to his voice. It's the guarantee of success in your life. Now, let's look at what we need to do on the day of an interview. Acing an interview means that you want to start the day of the interview with a good mood. Read promises from God's word. One of the verses I love is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Spend time that morning, if you never spend time, in the Word and talking to God. No matter how talented, gifted, educated, bright, articulate, no matter what your gifts are, unless God is blessing them that day, may not be such a great day. So spend time with him and get that divine connection before you do anything else. Now, you also may want to make sure the blood is flowing and energy is there, so you might want to take a brisk walk and kind of get the heart pumping and the blood moving. And by the way, that kind of keeps you in a better positive frame of mind. You might want to work out. You might want to stretch a little bit and kind of get pumped up and after the walk and breathe some good lungfuls of air. You know, really make sure that you're alive all the time, communicating with your Father, your higher power. Now, meditation and prayer can also help you relax. This is not a day to get nervous. In fact, think about this. If God wants you to have this job, you will have it. So turn it over to Him. In your prayer and your meditation, ask Him for the peace to trust Him. So this isn't a moment where you've got to make it all happen. Kind of relax, sit back. You've done all the work that you can do, and let God do what He does. Give yourself a pep talk. No matter what happens, before, after, or during this interview, you are still a favorite child of God. You're still a person of value, no matter what is said about you, no matter what is said to you. So give yourself a pep talk. Remind yourself who you are and whose you are. Sing a favorite song in the car, belt one out. I mean, let it rip, enjoy it, clap your hands, let yourself feel that you're alive. Remember, no matter what happens here, you're still going to be there, a person of value, and God is still going to take care of you. Recite your favorite inspirational quote. Let your ears hear your mouth say something that moves you. Now, how do you want to appear during your interview? Well, first of all, you need to be well dressed. The tip is you need to dress a level above the position. So let's say you're applying for a position as an accounting supervisor. You need to dress like the accounting manager would dress. Now, I know when we talk about issues of dress, people feel this is their last area of individuality. Well, that may be true, but it is also how you will be judged. So dress above the position that you're applying for. It makes an incredible impact on the people that are interviewing you. The next thing is be natural, just be yourself. The nervousness, let's give that to God. Let's trust Him to make the way straight for us. But be natural, just be you. If your hands move a certain way, you talk a certain way, just be who you are, because that's going to come across as you being real to the person that's talking to you. Always be on time. There's nothing that sends a message to the potential employer about how you're going to be as an employee as someone who is late. In fact, be early. Now, this might sound a little hokey, but if you're early, many times it signals to your employer or your prospective employer, this is somebody that's going to be early to work. They're really eager. They really want this thing. So always, always be on time. In fact, if you're going to be late, see if you can postpone the interview. But on time sends a big, strong message to them about how serious you are about working for them and how serious you'll be about work once they hire you. Stay company focused with everything that you say to the interviewer, getting them to focus on how your specific skills can help them in their organization. Ask questions based on what you've learned, the research that you did about the company, and be ready to elaborate on any information that you put on your resume, which is why we said when you write the resume, make sure that you're absolutely, perfectly honest. Now, practice makes perfect, and perfect practice makes perfect. You need to practice your interviewing skills even when there is no pending interview. You need to keep these up. So here's what you do. Ask a family member or a professional friend or a mentor or anybody that you can coerce to put you through your paces prior to an important interview. Skilled interviewers will pose behavioral interview questions, and they're going to ask you to describe specific examples of an experience. In these situations, your response can easily last much longer than 90 seconds, but try to keep the answers short and concise. The 5 most common interview questions include, number 1, biggie. So tell me about your weaknesses and strengths. Now, some people answer those in the most ridiculous ways. We heard one that said, tell me about your weaknesses. And the person responded, well, one of my weaknesses is that I'm a workaholic and I work so hard that my employer has to tell me to slow down. Yeah, we're buying that one. Or tell me about your strengths. And you elaborate on how wonderful and fantastic you are. Now, the interviewer is expecting to hear you talk about your strengths and weaknesses, but they want you to be real. They want you to be honest, and there's probably an area that you're weak in, not a major one, that you're able to share and kind of let them know what kind of employee they are getting. Second question, happens all the time. Why did you quit or get terminated from your previous position? Now, be very careful when you answer this question. If you answer it based on relationships, it could be a problem. Well, I left my last job because my boss was an idiot. Or I left my last job because I hated my coworkers. Or I left my last job because the people there just didn't get me. Now, do you see what you just told the interviewer? You just told them that whether it's your boss, coworkers, people that you worked with, you're not going to be a good job fit. Now remember, their job is to make sure that you fit into the position they're interviewing you for. So why should they choose you? Number 3, why should we hire you? Make this a good one. You can use terms like career growth, interesting company. There's a lot of answers you can use. However, please do not say, you should hire me because this position pays a lot of money, and I'd like to make a lot of money. Now, that may be absolutely true, but there are better ways to say that. In fact, one of the best ways I've heard about someone that wants to grow and develop is simply saying that, hey, I looked at your company and it looked like an organization where I could really grow and develop to the best of my abilities. Now, here's where they want to find out if you know how to problem solve and deal with issues. So they're going to ask you, tell me about a problem that you had with a previous supervisor, team member, or employee. And what they want to hear from you here is, how do you handle adversity? So what you might tell them, well, I had a supervisor who was rather skeptical about me working a certain project, and I was able to win them over by A, doing all my work well, 2, winning in small projects, and 3, finally get a chance to show my skills and abilities on a bigger project. And from there on out, they were able to use me in some pretty important projects. Now, what you just told the interviewer there is that you grew and developed, and instead of fighting that person, you were able to sell them on what you brought to the table. Number 5, this is a biggie. Tell me about a time when you made a mistake. Please be honest. Now, I'm probably not going to tell you about the biggest mistake I ever made, because that might scare you just a bit. But we've all made mistakes. We are human beings. So pick one that didn't turn into an incredible disaster, preferably one that you were able to fix once you were aware of it, and share that with them. What they really want to know is, are you human? Now, during the interview, don't talk too much. The average interviewer's attention span looks something like this. As you begin speaking, the interviewer is listening with nearly full attention. Then after about 10 seconds, he begins listening with less intensity. After about 60 seconds, his mind begins to wander and he's remembering he has to pick up the children from school. And he's devoting less than half his attention to you. Now, the interviewer starts asking questions about your responses or begins formulating his next interview question while he's thinking. Now, after you've been speaking for 90 seconds without any interruption, the interviewer is barely listening at all. So when you're attempting to sell yourself, don't take the conversation and run away with it, because they really might not be listening. The last thing they're going to ask you is, well, do you have any questions? Now, to be impressive, you want to ask about some issue that during the research about that company that you learned. or maybe even something personally while you have that conversation. It's so impressive when you ask about, well, what's the biggest push this company is making this year? Or what's the focus of the organization this year? Where could my talents best be used to make this company win this year? Man, does that sound like you're ready to go with this? And here's when you make it personal. Since people like to talk about themselves, ask them, what in this company made it so good for you? This interviewer, who obviously is like everybody else, once they start sharing why they enjoy it, you'll get an insight not only into the company, but you'll get an insight into them. Remember, talking about ourselves is most people's favorite subject. At any rate, your final questions should reflect interest in being an asset to the company. Now, here's a set of questions that will completely turn the interviewer off at the end of your wonderful interview. Here's one. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, I'd like to know how many sick days you give. I'm pretty sure that signals you're not even sick at the moment, but you're planning on it as soon as you get there and get hired. How many vacation days do you have? Well, you haven't been hired yet, and you're still trying to figure out how soon you can take time off. It's not a bad thing to do, but it is simply giving the wrong message to the interviewer. Remember, you need to focus on what you can do for them, not necessarily what they can do for you. Finally, panel types come in different sizes and different forms. Sometimes it's a one-on-one interview, sometimes it's a two-person interview, and occasionally it's a panel interview where they all line up in front of you and ask you questions. Let me tell you, no matter what, God is with you. Well, that's all the time that we have today, friends. So use the information we shared with you today and know for sure that your next interview will be an impressive and blessed one. Remember, you are powerless over what they can do to you, but they are powerless over what God will do for you. This is Eric Kelly. Until next time, keep working the dream.